Welcome to lesson 1 of Warriors Ascent Essentials, Sleep, Tending the Body. So let me ask you, how much you pay for a pill that would increase your energy, recovery, mental acuity, and overall sense of well-being? How much would you pay for a pill that provided all of that to you? Now, what if I were to tell you that it's simply 8 hours of quality sleep a night? And it's free. I'd bet you'd be significantly interested in getting a better night's sleep if it were to be the case that a good night's sleep would provide all that to you, and I'm here to tell you that is in fact the case. So we've all heard the comments from the veterans and the first responder community. Myself as a veteran, I've heard it all the time. Sleep is for the weak, sleep is a crutch, and you can sleep when you're dead. Well, sleep isn't a luxury. Sleep is an absolute necessity. And at the Warriors Ascent program, we do our level best to make sure that people know that and that we inculcate good sleep hygiene, sleep habits, and protocols to ensure people get a good and sufficient night's sleep. So we'll talk about that shortly. Sleep impacts. What are the impacts of not getting optimal sleep? There are health and performance issues clearly by not getting a good night's sleep. Even for just one night, it has a deleterious effect on performance and cognitive abilities. But diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, in terms of chronic and ongoing issues, after we'll say weeks, months, years of not getting sufficient sleep, day in and day out, night in and night out. Cognitive abilities and memory, your short-term memories are processed into long-term memories during sleep, particularly REM and deep sleep. So cognitively, you're impaired if you're not getting good and deep sleep every night. Energy, we've all experienced not getting a good night's sleep and waking up the next day and just wanting to go back to bed. So clearly tied to energy. Focus, mental acuity. A bad night's sleep, you feel like you've got that sleep hangover. You can't focus. It's just very difficult for you to do your work, to process mentally. So clearly, there's a cognitive deficit that arises from a lack of good sleep. And then lastly, emotional well-being and mood. You wake up in a bad mood. You're grumpy. The saying, you woke up on the wrong side of bed. Well, clearly that stems from from people not getting a good night's sleep and then bearing the consequences in terms of taking it out on loved ones, et cetera, et cetera. So bottom line, a good night's sleep is not a luxury; it is absolutely critical. So what are some sleep metrics? How is it that you've gotten a good night's sleep? What really does that look like? The goal is 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. There are people that will say that they can get by on 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and that is an extreme rarity. In most cases, people have trained themselves to make do with a suboptimal amount of sleep, and they don't even recognize that they're operating at a deficit. They've just gotten used to that steady state of, I'll say, low-level functioning. Science is unequivocal in the notion that most adults need 8 hours of sleep, plus or minus 1. But rare is it the human being that can get by on less sleep than that and not have some sort of impairment, whether it's cognitive, mood, or even physical. Quality of sleep, REM sleep, deep sleep, light sleep. So you may be getting 7 to 8, but if it's not good quality, if you're not getting the REM sleep or rapid eye movement and deep sleep, which is where the repair takes place, both mental and cognitive as well as physical, then you're still not reaping the benefits of a good night's sleep. So it's not even just duration as much as it is quality as well. And then lastly, disruption. If you've got disrupted sleep throughout the night, that is suboptimal as well. So if you're waking up multiple times throughout the night and you're having a hard time getting back to sleep, that's something that similarly needs to be remedied. So sleep measurement, what is it that we do to measure a good night's sleep? What are the tools at our disposal? So a logbook, which we'll provide to you in the notes, are a good means of measuring the duration and quality of your sleep. biometric data. So there's an abundance of tools out there to include Garmin watches, Oura rings, and all sorts of other, biometric instrumentation that measure the quality of your sleep, heart rate variability, and the list goes on. But bottom line, you should have some means or measure, invest in that, to measure the quality and duration of your sleep, because as Peter Drucker will say, that which is measured is managed. And if you're not measuring it, you're not going to properly manage your sleep. And that's very important. So on that note, we have our logbook that we've provided, 21 days. So why 21 days? 21 days to inculcate a habit or a routine. And our hope is that with the logbook, you will inculcate a series of new lifestyle habits that'll be beneficial to you. But in this case, we look at, day one and we'll break it out. So meditation, how much time spent in meditation? How much exercise time? So yoga, resistance, cardio, you name it. Diet, whether it's paleo or some other healthy diet, but are you sticking to your diet? How many cheat meals or snacks are you having throughout the week? Hopefully it's not more than 1 or 2. Relationships, so how much quality time are you spending with others? Relaxation and hobbies. And then finally, the topic of today's lesson, sleep quality. So how many quality hours of sleep are you getting a night? So we'd like you to record that on this logbook, at least for the 21 days, and ideally, whether it's through your watch or other biometric system, but measure and maintain accountability of your quality of sleep to see what effects it's having on your overall sense of well-being. And you'll see the last field in that logbook is, hey, your level of well-being. You give yourself a score from 0 to 4. And the intent there is that the practices that you're measuring day to day add up to a higher score in terms of your well-being, psychological and moral well-being. So the intent with the logbook is that through these practices, day to day, that you'll be able to get a sense of where you've invested properly in meditation, exercise, proper diet, relaxation, and sleep quality. And then in the end, realize a better overall sense of well-being as a product of that. So those lead measures, right, those self-care practices should in the end result in a lag measure of overall improvement in your sense of well-being and health. So with regard to sleep, our advice is treat sleep like an activity or a process. It's not just something that happens. I mean, yes, it occurs naturally. People get tired and they go to sleep. But really, to set the stage, just set the conditions for optimal sleep, you should treat it like a process or an activity. Prepare and set those conditions for sleep. And you can do that with rituals, sleep rituals, and sleep hygiene or conditions. And we'll go over those shortly. So some of the rituals that we recommend: consistent bedtime and wake-up time. So if that varies significantly day to day, it throws off your circadian rhythms, your biorhythms. So keep those pretty standard, plus or minus an hour. No caffeine or nicotine 8 hours before bedtime, because caffeine and nicotine are both stimulants, and that definitely is going to affect your sleep. Avoid alcohol before bed. That interferes with REM and deep sleep. So don't have a couple beers or a whiskey or whatever it is right before bed thinking, hey, that'll help me get off to sleep, because it actually impacts negatively your sleep quality. So don't eat 3 hours before bedtime, because the digestive process can actually interfere with your sleep patterns. If anything, if you have to have something, have a light snack. No blue light, computers, iPhones, iPad, 1 to 2 hours before bedtime, because that blue light suppresses the secretion of melatonin, which is the sleep hormone, which means you're going to have a harder time getting to sleep and staying to sleep. If a warm bath or shower before bed, that's helpful. It raises your core temperature, and then you can lower your core temperature by ensuring that your sleep temperature is between, I'll say, 68 and 71 degrees, which is ideal. But that helps you get to sleep as well. You can drink chamomile tea or a variety of herbal teas that help you relax and knock off to bed. Exercise is important, but not right before bed. So if you have a good bout of exercise in the morning or early afternoon, where you're feeling fatigued and tired, that's good, but don't go on a run at night and stimulate yourself and then try to, knock off to sleep, because you're going to be in that heightened state of arousal after a good workout. So just be mindful of that as well. And then Yoga Nidra, we'll provide a link to our Yoga Guru's Yoga Nidra videos, but whether it's Yoga Nidra or another guided meditation, but that's another means of getting your mind and body prepared for sleep. Sleep hygiene and conditions. You should sleep in a completely dark environment. No night lights, no other ambient light. If at all possible, it should be completely dark. When you wake up, you should be exposed to sunlight, because that sunlight exposure helps reset your circadian rhythms. Ideal sleeping temperature for many is between 68 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to kind of lower your body temperature. So that is comfortable for most. White noise for some drowns out ambient noise and helps people get off to sleep. Fan for some, that wind blowing on them is helpful. Right? No naps after 3 p.m. A weighted blanket, for some. Phone on silent. Aromatherapy. Lavender with a diffuser. So aromatherapy can be very relaxing as well. And lavender is one of the scents that is very soothing. So that's another tip. And then lastly, supplements if you need them. Melatonin, sleep hormone. So taking that right before bed can help you get to sleep more quickly and stay asleep as well. So this is Warriors Essentials Lesson 1, Sleep. And we hope some of these suggestions help you get a better and more high quality night's sleep.